When I found Marietta, I didn't just find a place to go to college. I found so much more than that.
I found friends. I found sports.
I found my passion.
I found family.
I found my calling. I found a place to call home. Discover what you can find at Marietta by visiting marietta.edu today.
Coming up today on NewsCenter 15, a Connecticut mobster returns home.
And police search for a 4-year-old girl.
We'll have these stories and more on NewsCenter 15, starting now. Good afternoon and welcome to Tuesday's edition of NewsCenter 15. I'm Cooper Holmes.
And I'm George Riffle.
And here's our news for this afternoon. Former U.S. President George W. Bush welcomed new American citizens in Dallas on Monday during a naturalization ceremony, saying, "Amid all the complications of policy, may we never forget that immigration is a blessing and a strength." Bush and former First Lady Laura Bush spoke to the 50 candidates for naturalization during the ceremony at the George W. Bush Presidential Center. Those becoming citizens at the ceremony came from more than 20 countries around the world. He told the group that he hopes that those responsible in Washington can dial down the rhetoric, put politics aside, and modernize immigration laws soon.
The Trump administration proposed new limits on federal student loans taken out by parents and graduate students on Monday. The proposal seems to be a part of a bigger proposal to lower the cost of college and reduce the nation's student debt load, which has reached nearly $1.5 trillion and has more than tripled since 2003. The proposed solution is to cap federal loan programs available to students, parents, and to graduate students. While the plan doesn't propose specific limits, officials suggested that it could vary based on academic program.
So right now we're going to take a look and see what our weather is like outside.
Here to provide a first look at the weather is Ethan Brown.
All right, right on, fellas. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have for today. Right now, well, this morning it felt like 29 degrees. It's warmed up a little bit since then. It's going to be mostly sunny today. We'll look at a high of about 51 degrees and the low of 29, so it should be pretty decent temperatures overall. The UV rating will be average, so consider wearing your sunglasses as the sun will be shining. The air quality is excellent, so it's very breathable, and the pollen is low, so you won't have to worry about your allergies kicking in too badly, if that is something that troubles you. The wind will be relatively calm today, 4 miles per hour. Humidity is also fairly low at 39%, and the sunset will be at about 7:36, which is my favorite part about this time of year because it means the days are getting longer. Now, that's not the only thing about this time of year that I like. It's also a sign that spring is right around the corner, and we can discuss that more later on in the broadcast as I go further in depth on what you can expect this week as far as weather goes. But until then, back to you guys.
Thank you, Ethan. Robert Gentile, an alleged Connecticut mobster, criticized government officials Monday while adjusting to being back home after a 4-year prison sentence for weapon crimes. Authorities believe Gentile is the last surviving person in the largest art heist in history, in which $500 million worth of art was stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston in 1990. I had nothing to do with it. It was a big joke, Gentile said in a phone interview from his Manchester home. Now 82, Gentile claims that he was wrongly imprisoned and that the facilities are responsible for his worsening health conditions, explaining, "I'm all crippled up. They had me in a bed for years, chained up," he said. "I have never been in jail. It's a joke. I should have never been in jail. It's a joke." The Federal Bureau of Prisons said in a statement that there was no evidence to support Gentile's claims of mistreatment.
The police searched for a 4-year-old girl missing since last week on the Utah portion of the Navajo Nation remains on hold. However, volunteers and family members are still looking. Navajo Police Department spokeswoman Christina Togia said Monday that authorities are determining what resources they need before resuming a search that was temporarily halted Saturday, but affirmed there are no signs to believe that the young girl was abducted. Tosi says Andraine Jones wandered off Thursday afternoon from her home near a creek that connects to the San Juan River, a tributary of the Colorado River that flows into Lake Powell.
Coming up next, Iowa flooding, gas tanker leak, and a pedestrian sentence, and more.
We'll be back after this.
I never chew tobacco.
I don't drink much.
Never smoked a cigarette in my life.
HPV. Isn't that about cervical cancer?
What does that have to do with oral cancer?
HPV? Didn't know that.
Residents in parts of southwestern Iowa were forced out of their homes Sunday as a torrent of Missouri River water flooded over and through levees, putting them in a situation similar to hundreds of people in neighboring Nebraska who have been displaced by the late winter flooding. Heavy rainfall and snowmelt have led to dangerously high water in creeks and rivers across several Midwestern states, with all the Missouri River hitting record high levels in many areas. At least 2 deaths were blamed on flooding, and 2 other men have been missing for days.
A tanker truck leaking gasoline caught fire and caused an explosion that injured 2 people and sent a huge plume visible across Los Angeles on Sunday. Authorities said crews responding to reports of a gas smell found the tanker fully engulfed and then were forced back by the force of the blast, officials said. Dozens of firefighters took nearly 2 hours to douse the stubborn blaze in a neighborhood about 6 miles south of downtown Los Angeles. Thick, black smoke snaked into the sky and eventually blew out to the sea. 2 people were hospitalized, one with injuries described as serious. The other victim suffered minor injuries, fire officials said.
A former Pennsylvania pediatrician was sentenced Monday to at least 79 years in prison for sexually assaulting 31 children, most of them patients, as his now adult victims blasted not only their abuser, but the system that let him get away with it for so long. Dr. Johnny Bardo from Johnstown was sentenced on dozens of criminal counts, including aggravated indecent assault and child endangerment. Prosecutors said he spent decades abusing children in the examine room in his pediatrician practice in Midwestern Pennsylvania and at local hospitals, having opted to be a pediatrician so he'd have a ready supply of victims.
On Monday, Lowell resident David F. Davis passed away after crashing his car into a home within the Watertown Township. 49-year-old Davis was heading south on Ohio 339 when he drove off the right side of the road and struck a nearby residential home. According to local first responders, no residents were in the home at the time of the crash, and the causes of the incident are still under investigation.
Coming up next, bridge construction, drug court, and severe weather.
We'll have this story and more after this.
And also coming up after the break, we'll take a closer look at what the weather might have in store for the weekend or for the week ahead. Will it be more spring-like, or will we be delving into some more cold weather? Hopefully not the latter, but we'll see.
Where are we?
We are at Marietta College.
This is where we live, at Marietta College.
It's all good.
The bridge which connects McConnellsville and Malta will be undergoing construction starting this week. Repairs were called for when the surface and portions of the walls of the bridge had experienced some weathering, raising possible concerns. The estimated time for the repair is said to be 6 months, with a one-lane closure on the bridge continuing through the end of October. Students in the McConnellsville area are said to experience up to a half an hour added to their daily commute time.
Washington County Common Pleas Drug Court is beginning to fill its 30 available program positions. However, growth is continued at a slow pace since its introduction 7 weeks prior. The program is designed for individuals who wish to undergo rehabilitation rather than serve time in jail. It was stated by the court if an individual was offered the program, they would maintain a minimum 14-month intense sobriety accountability with the court.
As part of the Severe Weather Awareness Week, many states are taking precautions and testing warning systems. The West Virginia Weather Preparedness Committee is set to test the state's warning sirens and both radio and TV broadcast alerts on Tuesday, March 19th at 10:30 a.m. All local businesses, residents, hospitals, nursing homes, and government facilities are encouraged to participate in the practice tornado drill. By doing this, all organizations can update their emergency plans and procedures. And the award for entertainment news goes to...
Here's Ethan Brown with a look at the Hollywood Minute.
All right, thanks guys. Well, starting off, the final season of Game of Thrones isn't airing until this year, but the race is already underway to find the next king of television. Streaming services such as Netflix and Amazon and more traditional networks like CBS are spending millions of dollars to find the next series that will fill the giant hole Game of Thrones will leave behind. But they may be chasing something increasingly elusive, a universal hit. When Game of Thrones premiered on HBO in 2011, it had far less competition. Streaming services weren't as popular as they are today. Game of Thrones' engaging storytelling, immersive world, and enormous production budget had led to 47 Emmys and big ratings. 16.1 million watched the last season's finale. Viewers can now pick from hundreds of programs on cable and streaming services, so Game of Thrones' success is worth all the gold in Casterly Rock. HBO's competitors have taken notice. And moving on to another world, some people aren't happy with J.K. Rowling's assertions about the love match between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. According to Mashable, the author talks about the couple in a feature included in the DVD and Blu-ray versions of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Their relationship was described as incredibly intense, passionate, a love relationship. Rowling said, just as there was much ire last year when the director of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald said the sexuality of the character Albus Dumbledore would not be explicitly explored in the film, folks aren't happy now that Rowling is exploring Dumbledore's sexuality at this late date. In Hollywood, I'm Ethan Brown.
Thank you for the update, Ethan. And now we'll go back to our multi-talented Ethan Brown for a look at our weather.
All right, well, I'm going to drop back into the Ohio Valley here after visiting Hollywood, so let's take a look at what we can see for our temperatures going forward. Right now, for the highs, we can see that it's about, well, I can see we're working with the metric system today because it's somewhere around 15 degrees Celsius in our area, and it's kind of right around that over here. Down south, it's a little warmer. For the next map, it's definitely going to be a little cooler today. Going into the night, it'll be closer to a little around 0 degrees Celsius, which, if my math is correct, that is freezing in Celsius. Wind chill, also in Celsius. For the Ohio Valley right about here, looks like it's going to be something in the blue section there, which looks like it might be around -15. I'm not sure what that equates to in Fahrenheit. Sorry, I can't fix that for you, but what can I do? Let's look at the 5-day forecast. Wednesday, that's tomorrow, we'll look at a high of 58 and a low of 41. It'll be mostly cloudy, so it'll be kind of warm, but sun won't really peek out very much. For the next day, Thursday, it'll drop a little bit for the high with 53 degrees. And you can expect a chance of rain, so you might want to prepare accordingly. Friday, the high will be a little bit lower, 47 degrees, partly cloudy. So the sun might peek out a little bit. Saturday, the high will be 52, but the sun will be out, which is always wonderful. So you can be happy about that. And Sunday, now that's going to be a nice day, 62 degrees, mostly cloudy, but you know, that's the kind of temperature that I can be happy with. So I think we might be trending upwards towards spring. It is right around the corner after all, so hopefully this is a good indication of what we can expect in the weeks to come. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Ethan. When we come back, we'll have Jessica Hill here with the latest news in the world of sports.
Stay with us.
Cancer may be tough, but we are tougher. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Our game-changing research has led to the belief that the cures for cancer are in our blood. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Beating cancer is in our blood.
I should really.
And now we're back with Jessica Hill for a look at sports.
What's the scoop, Jessica?
Well, the 2020 Tour de France has some details being unveiled, which start in the Mediterranean city of Nice. The race will begin in Brussels to celebrate Eddie Merckx's first win on his 50th anniversary. There will be 2 stages. The first is 3 laps on a circuit that will favor sprinters. The second one includes climbs, the Col de la Condamine, Col de Turin, and Col d'Iez. And then on Saturday night, a college baseball player from Oklahoma was struck in an apartment hit and run. The victim was 20-year-old Joseph Cordera Jr. of San Antonio. He was struck by a car in Monticello by a dark-colored car. The student is a member of the Southeastern Oklahoma State baseball team, which had played a game Saturday at Arkansas Monticello before the incident. His condition is unknown at this time. And a student at the University of San Francisco has been suspended and fined after admitting to having bet on tennis matches. The Swedish native David Norfelt, 20, is suspended for 8 months and fined $96,000. Within 8 months, he made 195 bets even though he was not playing. The matches he wagered, there had been no comment on the player's status from the university, but the suspension will be lifted if there are no additional breaches. And coming soon April, Tim McGraw and other artists, soon to be announced, will be performing at the NFL Draft in Nashville, Tennessee. The draft will be held outdoors in downtown Nashville, home of the Titans. This will be a free outdoor concert, and gospel singer and Grammy-winning gospel singer CeCe Williams will sing the national anthem on April 25th for the 3 days of the draft event. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Jessica. Now joining us back at the desk for one last time is Ethan Brown.
Well, as I alluded to earlier, hopefully spring is coming upon us sooner than we might think. This week might not be the warmest in terms of that, maybe this weekend. At least for today, though, should be decent outside, especially with the sun being out, but I would still bring a jacket just to, have some sleeves on your arms. It's not that warm yet.
I, for one, can't wait for the warmer weather.
I'm into that.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be nice.
Well, that's it for today's broadcast. For all of us here at WCMO TV, thank you for watching today and throughout the semester. Hope you enjoy this show and many more shows to come in the future. Thank you for watching NewsCenter 15.